Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the January 2023 legislative meeting of Borough Council. Please stand and join me in the pledge to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome, everyone, to year 2023. We have a couple of empty seats tonight. The reason for one of those empty seats will become apparent as we move through our agenda. The other is because Vice President Romaine is with us, although she's here by telephone. Thus, the microphone that is perched over this little device over here. We are going to be playing by ear a little bit here to make sure that technology works, but we're hopeful that it will work and everything will move along just fine. Before we get into public comment and privilege of the floor, we have a couple sets of meeting minutes, one for our workshop of meeting of last month and the other for our regular meeting of last month. Do I hear a motion to approve the December workshop meeting minutes as submitted?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
There is. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the December 1, 2022 workshop meeting minutes as submitted, please say aye.
Aye.
Liz, we didn't hear you.
Oh, sorry, I forgot to unmute. Aye.
We heard you now.
We can hear you now. Do you hear a motion to approve the December 15 legislative meeting minutes
So moved.
as submitted?
Second.
Is there any discussion concerning the motion? Hearing no call for discussion, all those in favor of approving the December meeting minutes for our legislative meeting, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, please say nay. The motion passes unanimously. Oh, Liz, just make sure that we did you vote aye or nay on that meeting?
No, I voted aye. Could you not hear me?
No, we didn't, but now we did.
Okay. Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. So now we have public comment and privilege of the floor. We have two opportunities, one at the beginning of the meeting, one at the end of the meeting. And as always, we take comments and questions by way of email. The email address is comments@mediaborough.com. Comments@mediaborough.com. And we'll start with those first. Karen Rapino, do we have any comments or questions by way of email tonight?
We do not.
Thank you. Those who are interested, please send your comments or questions to us during the meeting, and Karen will read them at the end of the meeting. Please be sure to give us your name and the address at which you live. Is anybody who wishes to address council who is present, please come to the microphone. Tell us who you are, where you live, what's on your mind.
Robin Lasserson, 342 West 4th Street. I see that a reappointment to the vacancy board is on the agenda, and since that's one of the more obscure elements of local government, I was just hoping that you could illuminate it for the public by just summarizing its purpose, describing what the state statute requires, and whether the borough has any discretion in that regard, whether the borough has had to turn to the vacancy board at any time in the recent past, and finally, how many terms the nominee, Joan Hagan, has served.
The second to last question, the answer is no. Mr. Scott?
Yep.
If there are a number of questions there, do your best.
So, townships and boroughs are required to have a vacancy board. And a vacancy board consists of all the elected council people and the vacancy board chair, which is one person appointed. That person has to be appointed once a year, first in January of every year. The vacancy board only sits if there is a vacancy in an elected office, and for some reason or another, council doesn't fill that office within the 30 days it is entitled to fill that office. I have only seen it used once in my professional life, and that's where there was a deadlock of 3 council people, and the mayor was not in the picture for one reason or the other, and the vacancy board met after the 30-day period, and the vacancy board chair broke the tie.
Thank you. And so how many terms has Joan Hagan served?
I
as
don't
the
know.
incumbent?
I don't know.
Nor do I, but a while.
It's been a while.
So no one present knows how long she's been in that position.
I would guess that she came on as the vacancy chair after she left council, and that was
2006.
7, something like that. You know,
Okay.
Haven't had to use
Thank
her.
you.
so
Yeah,
She's still sitting in the wings waiting for the opportunity.
And I understand it's a very rare occurrence, but it is by state statute a single individual. The council has no discretion to appoint, any other, just the one person who is the chair of the collective, so they're essentially the tiebreaker. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody else wish to address council at this time? Seeing that there are no takers, the borough manager's report. Ms. Foreman.
Good evening. I do not have a report this evening.
Does any member of council have any questions or comments for our manager at this time? Hearing none, move then to our engineer's report. Mr. Mattson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Again, capital projects, there are a few that are still trickling along out there, but the ones to look out for are the Aqua Cruise and the Pico Cruise, which will be taking up a lot of space in our streets. So if you're in those areas, please be mindful of driving, slow down, take precautions. There's crews out there, there's a big machinery, and accidents are frequent if we're not being mindful. So unless there's any other questions about capital projects, that's all I have tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Mattson. Does any member of council have any questions or comments for our engineer at this time? Hearing none, we'll move then to our solicitor's report.
Thank you, Mr. President. I don't have anything to report tonight.
Does any member of council have any questions or comments for our solicitor at this time? I should mention at this time, this seems opportune, that there will be executive session after tonight's meeting. We will be discussing 2 items, one a personnel matter and the other one a litigation matter. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. First, the complaint log, we had 590 issues. I'm only going to read a couple of them. Medical emergencies, there were 76. Trespassing, one burglary, and only one public drunkenness, believe it or not. So, anyway, there were 2 noteworthy recent issues. I'm going to address them now. The police department are aware of the damage to several of the ice sculptures that were placed around State Street. We have reports that 7 ice sculptures of the 25 to 30 sculptures did not make the entire weekend. The possibility of damage was talked about prior to the first-time event, but we now know different security measures will have to be made should the event be held annually, and hopefully it will be held annually. It was a great event. Although there was a report of some damage, there was a lot of people that came out to view the sculptures, and the event appears to have been a great success. Next, there has been a lot of activity recently on social media in reference to a local resident who is registered on the Megan's Law website. This individual is often observed walking around town on State Street, the State Street area. The police, media police, are very familiar with this individual. This individual is not listed on the Megan's Law website as having committed a crime against children, nor is he listed as a violent predator. He is not on probation or parole, and therefore is permitted to be anywhere in public. Lastly, the contact of the Media Police Department. Please contact the Media Police Department directly by dialing 911 to make any kind of a report to the police. We often find out about different concerns or conditions long after the facts, and because information is being posted on different social media platforms, but the police are not being notified. Use 911 not only for serious emergencies, but for any matter that requires a police officer's attention. So that's what I got.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Does any member of council have any comments or questions for the mayor? I think, Mr. Mayor, if you would not mind making a few remarks about the event this past Sunday. MLK?
Oh, MLK, oh, great event. You were there.
I was
A lot of council members were there. Yeah, and they didn't have it for the last 2 years, so it was a pleasure being there. A lot of people in the audience were also there. Usually it's about a 1 hour and 15-minute event. I think it went almost 2.5 to 3 hours. A lot of wonderful music, a lot of speeches. Nobody was out of line, except maybe me. But again, it was a great event. So they're back, and they're going to be back again next year.
Yes. And word of thanks to Councilperson Paul Robinson, and as well as to Councilperson Joy Washington. Both of them had a hand or two in the event.
Great event.
It was.
I think it's 37, 38 years or something like that that's been going on, and hopefully it'll go on much longer than that. So, a great event, and hope to see everyone there next year.
Agreed.
All right then, I guess we can make some headway into the council committee reports. First, we'll start with property, public works, and fire.
Good evening.
Councilmember Paul Robinson.
Good evening. Thank you all. A couple just brief announcements. You know, the engineer did bring up the idea that Pico and Aqua are doing a lot of work around the town, and as Kevin referenced, you know, please be safe, you know, be careful around them. We will be meeting with both of them in the foreseeable future to discuss road restoration, and because they've done a lot, and we should appreciate it, because basically what they're doing is doing new electrical and new infrastructure, which is an advantage to the community, but we also want to make sure when they leave town, that the streets looking acceptable. So that is something we will be working on. With regards to fire, I say this every month, anybody who is a resident or part of the media community that would be interested in serving with the media fire company, please stop by the firehouse or give them a call. They're always looking for either firefighters and or administrative help for the fire department. The chief did send me the report for the calendar year 2022, and I think this is when we all need to take a step back and recognize the importance and what our fire company does for our community. In 2022, we had 374 fires in which we responded to. Not all of them are within the borough, we know that, but they were at 374. And with regards to emergency services, there were 2,286 calls that our media ambulance answered in the year 2022, and that's very important. It must be a 911 night, Mr. Mayor, because the fire chief also asked that I remind our residents that the fire company, are receiving a significant amount of fire or calls at the firehouse using the private number with concerns, mainly smoke detectors, CO detectors, things of that nature. The chief said, without a doubt, as our police chief says, dial 911. You know, that is the best and most important way to get a response from a fire company. So if there's any issues with smoke detectors, COs, et cetera, dial 911. So there you are my announcements for the night. As with regards to legislative agenda, I have two. One is first regarding citywide facilities solutions. They are a cleaning service in which we were looking to hire for the use of Borough Hall and the police department. So with that, I would like to make a motion that we hire citywide facilities solutions in the amount of $1,007 per month to handle the janitorial services for the media municipal facilities, and that is in the form of a motion.
Second.
Motion's been made, it has been seconded. Is there any discussion concerning the motion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor of accepting the proposal from Citywide Facilities Solutions in the amount of $1,007 per month for janitorial services here at the Borough Complex, please say aye.
Aye.
Yes.
Aye. Those opposed, please say nay. The motion passes unanimously.
And second on my agenda is, it will be in a form of a motion that we submit our application to the county aid, for county aid with regards to the liquid fuels tax. For those that may not be aware, the way the liquid fuels tax is in essence the gas tax that we have within the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And the way that works is the Commonwealth collects the taxes, then distributes those taxes to the counties based on miles of road, and then the county then decides how those funds are distributed to the local municipalities within the county. So each year, we are required to submit our request for funding. All those funds that we do receive from the liquid fuels tax are used to pave and restore the roads within the borough of Media. So with that, I make a motion that we submit our application to the County of Delaware for the liquid fuels tax for resurfacing of our various roads within the borough. And that is in the form of a motion.
Is there a second on the motion?
Second.
There is. Is there any discussion concerning the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving submission of the application for county aid for the allocation of the county liquid fuel tax funds, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion passes unanimously.
That concludes my report.
Thank you. Does any member of council have any questions for Councilman Robinson at this time? We'll then move along to personnel. Councilperson Joy Washington.
Thank you, and thank you very much for attending, everyone. My item of business is for the collective bargaining agreement that we have with the FOP for the years 2023 through 2027, and this involves our discussions that added parental leave and changing up a lot of legacy language. I'm just going to say we just basically cleaned up a lot of language to apply to today's situations, and it counts for some raises and educational incentives and language cleanup around vacations, holiday, and a couple of other items. And I think that's mainly it. There were many meetings about this agreement. I do recommend, but I don't recommend, but it's very important, so yes, I do recommend to make those bargaining meetings. But I am going to present this collective bargaining agreement item in the form of a motion.
I will second that motion.
Motion is made. It has been seconded. Is there any discussion on the motion?
As someone who's been on the other side of a bargaining table, I just want to thank all of you for doing this and holding it up. And has the FOP voted, or will they vote after we vote?
I believe that they have agreed to it.
They've ratified it?
Yes. Yeah. And as Joy was saying, I've done several of these negotiations over my tenure on sitting on council, and without a doubt, this was the best one that we've ever had. We had some very good, candid conversation that I think we, council members on personnel, got a greater understanding of where the position is of the police department, and it has changed significantly over the last decade or two with regards to where their position is. I would say historically it was more of, I just want more money, and now it's a pleasure to see that our police officers are looking for more opportunities to spend time with family and to do things of that nature. A little bit different, and so we had a good conversation there. The other thing, which I think was a significant plus, is they sat and listened to us, which is important. So it was not necessarily a one-way street. So as Joy said, I'm guessing it was somewhere between 20 and 30 hours of sitting around negotiating and talking, but 99.9% of that time was great conversation in which we both learned a lot about each other. So I want to, again, congratulate, Councilwoman Washington, who is our personnel chair, for leading the charge. And it also is a longer contract than normal, so we won't have to do this for a while, which is a good thing. Thank you.
If I may, for process, Councilman Pakoff, the members agreed to it, the FOP agreed to it. They sent us, the lawyers worked over on the contract language. They sent us a clean copy of the contract. If you all approve this, we'll have that signed by Council President. It will go back to the FOP for to be fully executed.
Thank you.
I think it would be helpful Ms. Foreman. We all understand that the cost of doing business is going up for all areas when it comes to local government. And of course, we expect that there is going to be a pay increase for the members of our force, and we certainly don't begrudge them for that. They work hard for the money that they earn, keeping us all safe. But I think it'd be helpful for our residents to understand what the average annual increase will be.
Sure. Each year, or just over the life?
Just average over the life of over the 5 years.
It's a 4%, 4.05% average increase over the 5-year contract.
Which does reflect the inflationary times that we are currently in, and we're hopeful that we are moving out of them. But as I said before, the cost of living affects, increased cost of living affects all of us, whether it's our own household or the operations of local governments. So we have a motion that has been made. Is there a second? And I believe that Councilmember Robinson seconded it. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the collective bargaining agreement with the FOP for 2023 through 2027, please say aye.
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 Liz?
Aye.
I vote aye as well, so the motion passes unanimously.
Okay, and that concludes my report.
Does any member of council have any questions or comments for Councilmember Washington? Hearing none, we'll move then to the Media Business Authority. That's Vice President Liz Romaine. Liz, you've been with us so far. I take it you're still with us now.
I am. Thank you, President Hall. I just have a few announcements, and once again, the mayor has stolen my salad talking about the Ice on State Street event that happened this past weekend. You know, without a doubt, Ice on State was a resounding success. This was the inaugural event. We have not done this before, and just to give a little context, for those of you who may not know, the MBA challenged themselves to think of ways to drive footsteps, drive business, drive visitors to our downtown business district during a downtime. And traditionally, if you know much about retail and restaurants, the period between New Year's and Mother's Day, with a small blip around Valentine's Day, is really, really slow. It's a dead zone. And so, you know, the Media Business Authority being their objective is to, support the business community, came up with this idea to partner with Ice Philly, which is a sculpture company, to create these sculptures. And quite honestly, it was a little bit of a hard concept to understand, right? But if you had the opportunity to go out this weekend, you really understood how this concept came to life and how it met its objective of driving business and footsteps to town during a traditionally slow year. Slow time of year, excuse me. I'm sure we benefited with the Eagles being on a bye week. We didn't have to go up against a large game, an important game, sports ball or whatever on Sunday. But even on Saturday, the streets were incredibly packed and without having to have shut down any streets. We spoke to some businesses and they reported that they did 2 to 3 times more business than they normally would do on a Sunday or Saturday in January. And in some cases, they saw more foot traffic than they did on some of the weekends over the holidays. So truly, the MBA did meet their objectives. As the mayor mentioned, we did start off Sunday with a handful less sculptures than we did on Saturday. One prominent sculpture was blown over by the wind. That was witnessed by one of the media police officers. Several others potentially had been damaged overnight by forces that were at Mother Nature. Unfortunately, social media and the news picked up on this one small thing and blew it up and discounted that there were still over 20 sculptures that were on Sunday. If you didn't look at the map, you wouldn't have known that they weren't there. Myself and several members of the MBA cleaned up the remnants of the sculpture, so everything was safe to walk around on Sunday morning. So I really want to reiterate to Council and to Media Borough that this was a successful event. It is unfortunate what happened to some of those sculptures, but that is not that is not really the outcome. And I share the mayor's sentiments in saying I do hope that the NBA considers bringing this event back next year. Certainly, anytime you do anything for the first time, there's a bit of a learning curve, right? And I think that the NBA learned some lessons and things to consider if they were to do this again. But truly, this was a really wonderful event, and I did see a few of you out on State Street. A few of you saw me escorting the Ice Princesses on Sunday, being surrounded by a bunch of children, and it was a very fun event. So thank you guys for your support, guys and gals. The NBA is deep into planning the rest of the events for 2023, and I hope to be able to report back to council and more about some of the plans for the rest of 2023. I don't have any other agenda items tonight. I did just want to quickly thank Brittany, Karen, and Dave just for allowing me to be able to call in tonight and facilitate that technology. And that's the end of my report.
Thank you. Any member of council have any questions or comments for Vice President Romaine?
I just want to echo how wonderful it was last weekend. I mean,
really
it was just, it was terrific.
Yep. Yeah, I echo those same sentiments. I made an Instagram reel just detailing my my Saturday there, so it was a lot of fun. I did also notice like the huge foot traffic that was on State Street, and I was like, wow, what if there was an official event where we closed off the streets? And I'm like, well, it's in the winter time, but now we can kind of see like. There's a good demand for this, so I'm definitely here for another one if we end up getting another one next year. So great job, Liz. Great job.
And Liz, I'm not sure how
Thanks,
you did
Alex.
it. I'm not sure how you did it, but it was the only weekend that we've had that was cold. So you really pulled one off on that one. So we appreciate the cold as well.
I'm still trying to get warm from Saturday. It was definitely blustery, but it did make the ice sculptures feel, very appropriate in their setting.
Well, to be continued, we hope.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, then. We'll move along then to Community Development and the Historical Architectural Review Board. Slight breach of the way we normally do things here. Since Vice President Romaine is remote and she cannot wield a gavel, I will pass the gavel down to Vice President Pro Tem Boyer in case there's a need, which
I think I'm qualified to keep.
I don't think that there will be, but it's good to be forewarned and forearmed. So I have a few things tonight. Begin with an announcement. For those of you who've been following the trolley modernization project that SEPTA has been moving forward slowly over the past number of years, it looks as if we're going to have something of a presentation, at least it's presently scheduled, for our March workshop meeting. And that will be on March 2, 2023. Just getting used to the 2023. That'll be here at the Borough Complex at 7 p.m. It's a great opportunity to get a better understanding of what this project will be like and also to provide some input. So if you're interested, please mark that on your calendar. Again, that's Thursday, March 2, 2023 at 7 p.m. Item number 2 on my report. I've not been looking forward to this, but come it must and come it has. One of our members, longtime members, Councilperson Peter Williamson, has resigned from the council. He has resigned for personal reasons that have caused him to move outside the borough. In order to serve as a member of council, you must reside in the borough. So he has tendered his resignation, and tonight it is our duty to take a vote on the resignation that he has tendered. We usually do these with regret. So tonight I move with great regret to accept the resignation of Councilperson Peter Williamson from the Media Borough Council.
And with deeper regret, I will second that motion.
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any discussion on the motion?
I would just like to add that, I had the opportunity to appoint Peter Williamson to our Planning Commission soon after he moved into the borough. And Peter has been a part of the fabric of the borough since he moved in, serving several years diligently and very well at our Planning Commission. And then, as we all know, he moved on to council for 15, 16, 17 years, something like that. I'm not really sure, but he will be sorely missed by me, all the members of council, and the community itself.
Is there any other?
Sorry. I echo that, Paul, and I've served now for 1 year, and I will remember an evening with Peter going over the budget specifics when we had just been elected to council, and he took time to answer all of our questions, to, very plainly state the specifics that we would need to know joining council. He was sort of my mentor, sitting right next to me and, making faces at me when I would say something, and, chatting offline on occasion. It's unfortunate, but I'm glad I had the opportunity to work with him.
I have a few words. I spoke with Peter, I'll call him Peter, tonight, even though we're sitting at this table. I spoke with Peter earlier this week, somewhat out of force of habit, but also just to get his sense of whether or not he wished to be here tonight. And he told me that he preferred not to be here tonight, out of modesty. He did not wish this to become an exercise in lauding him for all of the efforts that he's made over the years. But we will miss him. And not just on council, but this community will miss him. He has been a steadying influence, a quiet leader in our community for years now. And I found that on council, we did best when we listened closely to what he had to say. All right, well, I guess it's time to take this motion.
And I also like to echo what my colleague has said. He's been a great mentor to all of us who are new to this kind of profession, and I appreciate all he's taught me. So thank you, Peter, for all you've done. So any other discussion on the motion? I'll call the question. All those in favor of accepting Peter Williamson's resignation from council with regret, please say aye.
Yes.
Aye.
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 All opposed? Motion passes.
So could I just point out that accepting the resignation is what starts the 30-day period for council to fill that vacancy. So your next 2 council meetings, you have until, what's that, February 18? And
18th to the 17th, unless that falls on
Right.
us, unless it falls on a weekend, in which
Yeah.
case it would fall over to the following
Which is
Monday.
a Friday.
Okay.
The 17th is a Friday.
That is a very apt segue to my next announcement. We have a position to fill. I don't know that we have a seat to fill. I don't know anyone really can fill that seat, at least not right now adequately. But we have a position to fill. 2 weeks ago at a workshop session, we outlined the process by which we will go about filling that position. Anyone who is a current resident of Media Borough or has resided in the borough for at least a year and is interested in being appointed to the unexpired term, which will end on the first Monday in 2024. Actually, it's the second Monday in 2024 because the first Monday lands on New Year's Day. So January 8th, 2024, that's when the term will...
It'll be the Tuesday following that.
The Tuesday following that?
If the first is a holiday, it's the following day.
Okay, my mistake. So it will be January 2,
Yeah.
2024. Thank you. That's when the unexpired term will end. If you are interested and you have been a resident of the borough for a year, please submit a letter of interest to our manager, Brittany Foreman. You may do so either by regular mail or by email. The letter of interest can simply be a single sentence. I don't recommend that, but it could be that. It would be helpful if you provide what you consider to be the skills that you have, the background that you think would make you a good person to sit at council. We need to receive those letters by next Thursday. So by noon on January 26th is the cutoff date and time. We will then, as council, have a week in which to consider all of the letters of interest, and at least for now, we are scheduling that discussion to take place before our workshop meeting on February 2, 2023. We'll have a discussion as well as an opportunity to interview candidates. Tentatively, I'd say 5 o'clock-ish, but we just don't know how many persons are going to submit letters of interest, so it's tough to say how much time we need, or if we might need to schedule this on a different date because of the volume of letters of interest that we receive. But those are the dates that you should keep in mind. The date of January 26th by 12 noon, that is firm. If you are interested, please submit your letter of interest by that date and that time. Anything received after that date and time will not be considered. Thereafter, February 2 is a date that we're setting aside at present for interviews and for us to make our decision as to whom to appoint to serve out the balance of Peter Williamson's term.
Mr. President?
Yes.
Just wanted to share that the vacancy of the council position is also on our website, right on the homepage. So if anyone wants to go there and click there, there's a form that pops up that they can fill out and just submit it that way as well. So
We try to make it easy.
So one more process issue, if you're done, Mr. President.
I am.
Okay. That February 2nd meeting, you're going to be meeting earlier than the normal start time of 7. That earlier start time will need to be advertised as a special meeting, because these discussions have to happen at a advertised meeting. So you can either set that time now or give some direction closer to the date, but we'll need to advertise a special meeting, that you have to send it to the paper. That it has to run 24 hours in advance, which means you need to send it to 48 hours in advance because the paper needs a day to get it in. So
I expect that by midday on January 26th, we'll have a much better sense of when we're going to hold that meeting. Again, it's a matter of how many persons apply. If there are a lot of them, then we might need to have a separate date to hold the interviews. So that part of the puzzle, we haven't quite yet locked in. But we should
keep it on our checklist.
Yes.
So.
All right, I have a number of other items. There are resolutions to reappoint persons to various of our boards and commissions. The first one, it's numbered 2023-01. It's the reappointment of Alan Mansell to our ICC Life Safety Appeals Board for a 5-year term that will expire on December 31, 2027. I so move that we adopt that resolution.
I'll second.
Motion's made and seconded. Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor of passing Resolution 23-01, please say aye.
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 All opposed? Motion passes.
Liz, we didn't get your vote.
I'm sorry, I must be saying aye at the same time as everyone else, so you can't hear me, but I'll wait for a second and then say aye if that's easier, but aye.
My next item for action is Resolution 2023-02. Astute viewers will quickly catch on that we number these sequentially. So this is for the reappointment of Roberto Perez to our Planning Commission for a 4-year term that will expire December 31, 2026. I make that in the form of a motion.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor of passing Resolution 2023-02, please say aye.
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 All opposed?
No.
Motion passes.
Excellent, Liz.
Yeah.
Next item is number 5 under my report. It's Resolution 2023-03. It's the reappointment of John Cunningham to the Zoning Hearing Board for a 5-year term that will expire December 31, 2027. I make that in the form of a motion.
I will second that.
Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor of Resolution 2023-03, please say aye.
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 Yes.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Next item is Resolution 2023-04. It's for the reappointment of Joan Hagan to the Vacancy Board for a 1-year term that will expire at the end of this year. I make that in the form of a motion.
And I will second that.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor of passing Resolution 2023-04, please say aye.
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 Aye. All opposed?
Aye.
Motion passes.
And the last of these related motions is Resolution 2023-05. That's for the reappointment of Evelyn Blair to the Historic Archives Commission for a 5-year term that will expire December 31, 2027. I make that in the form of a motion.
Second?
Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor of Resolution 2023-05, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Finally, we have a chance to move away from the resolutions. We have a couple of just plain old motions. The first is for, it involves a project that has been kind of bubbling along for a number of years now. It's a project that will place some sidewalks on properties that currently don't have sidewalks or that have poor excuses for sidewalks. This project, since it's being funded by PennDOT, and PennDOT does things in a very exacting manner, has been around for quite a bit, but we finally are in a position to hire somebody to start that work. And this, I think, is a great project because it will help link up our sidewalk network. That's one of the chief virtues of Media Borough, what helps make it a wonderful walking town. The low bid is from Premier Concrete, and it's the amount of $684,746 for this project. Brittany, all of this is being paid for by PennDOT?
We have a grant, and it's under the grant cost.
Yes.
I'm trying to remember what the grant source was. Is it PennDOT's? CMAQ.
CMAQ.
Thank you.
So this is under the grant amount, and I'm making the form of a motion that we approve that bid.
I will second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion on the motion?
It's been a long time coming, hasn't it, Brian?
It certainly has.
I think it's going to be a plus, as Brian, as you referenced. I mean, we are a walkable town. We're an old town, so there are areas that, for some reason, never had a sidewalk, never required a sidewalk, and in many of those areas, it will link up. I, as one of those people that walk their dog all the time, run across a couple of these areas on a regular basis, and every time I'm walking down the street with my crazy dog, and I get in a car passes, I'm looking forward to the day when there will be a sidewalk there, and I can keep my crazy dog on the sidewalk. So this will be great. It took a long time, but perseverance pays off.
Yeah, it is unusual and in some ways inexplicable how it is that sidewalks just sort of end mid-block. Some of those gaps are on North Edgemont Street, and they'll be addressed. Some are on West Street. They'll be addressed. I believe that sidewalking in front
A couple in Jefferson.
could be. I think one is out in front of Glen Providence Park.
Yep.
That will improve the walkway there, make it increase the access to that lovely county park. Any
Yes, I'll just comment and say, like, the walkability of Media is one of the main reasons why I moved here, so this is a good day for pedestrian dignity. Thank you.
Is there any other discussion on the motion? Right. All those in favor of approving the low bid from Premier Concrete in the amount of $684,746 for the CMAQ sidewalk project, please say aye.
Aye.
Yes.
Aye.
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 All opposed? Motion passes.
And the next item involves a project that has been percolating along for the past couple of years. It's the hybrid form-based zoning project. We're at a point now where I think we're ready to authorize our solicitor to advertise an ordinance to adopt the hybrid form-based zoning code and submit the code to the required reviewing agencies. I make that in the form of a motion.
I'll second that.
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any discussion on the motion?
Mr. Scott, question, that will require a public hearing?
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
That will require a public hearing before the
Yeah,
adoption?
yeah.
So there is still opportunity for residents.
And that public hearing can't happen until the Borough Planning Commission and County Planning Commission have reviewed and commented.
Exactly.
So we're looking at
Spring.
45 days to 60 days at a minimum.
Yep.
Very minimum.
Thank you.
Just want to also share that the consulting firm FHI will be coming to you all soon, most likely the February workshop, just to give you an update of where we are in this process and kind of the main goals and what's really happening with this code, just as a refresher, kind of kick off that process. And they will stick with us through the next 45 to 60 days till the adoption process.
It'll be good to see Adam and the team again.
Is there any other discussion on the motion? All right, all those in favor of authorizing the solicitor to advertise an ordinance to adopt hybrid form-based zoning code and initiate submittals to the required review agencies, please say aye.
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 All opposed? Motion passes.
That's all I got tonight.
You may have this back.
Oh, I wouldn't have given it back, so.
Well, I guess we'll shift the spotlight back to Councilmember Boyer. Kevin, your report, please.
Thank you. I do have just a few announcements. I have a report here I think all the members of council have gotten from civil service. Just a reminder of things that they've done over this past year. During their last meeting, they passed a few articles of change, one of which is to increase the hiring radius to 20 miles for prospective officers. That was something that they had asked to do, and we were able to accommodate that. Also to allow for, let's say, modern methods of communication, like email and text, as opposed to just written methods. We are in the process of hiring new officers. There's been a list that has been passed along, and hopefully we'll be able to do interviews in the not too near future for that, or not too distant future for that. And then also we're working on offering a test for promotion for sergeants and lieutenant. That is planned to be held this coming March of 2023. As far as rec announcements, we are looking for, or developing a position to rehire someone to replace Paula. And also we have, as of now, I think 4 prospective members interested in joining rec, so I invited them to the meeting in February, and hopefully we'll meet some new members and be able to fill out our ranks at that point. One legislative item I have is to adopt ordinance number 1160, and this is to adopt our annual traffic ordinance amendments that include things like stop signs and so on. And I make that in the form of a motion.
Second.
Motion has been made, it has been seconded. Is there any discussion on the motion? I'll just observe that this is a housekeeping matter. We do it every year. It's just a way of updating our code so that signs that have been taken out are no longer in it, and signs that have been put in are in it. All right. Call the question. All those in favor of adopting ordinance number 1160 of 2023 with regard to the traffic ordinance amendments, please say aye.
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 Those opposed, please say nay. The motion passes unanimously.
And that concludes my report.
Does any member of council have any questions or comments for Councilmember Boyer? Hearing none, we'll move along to Finance and Shade Tree Commission. Council Vice President Liz Romaine will deliver that if she is prepared to do so. Liz?
Yes, correct.
Please proceed.
Okay. Good evening again, everyone. I don't have any announcements for Shade Tree. I do have a brief announcement for finance, and I'll lean on Brittany to keep me honest, but the Finance Committee did not meet in January. With the transition of Peter, as he's transitioning off of council as chair, and given the traditionally light agenda load for January, we opted not to meet in January. For a variety of scheduling and logistical reasons, the Finance Committee will be meeting Friday, February 9th at, Brittany, is it 2 or 3 p.m.?
I do not recall, but it will be on the website.
It's sometime mid-afternoon. To Brittany's point, it'll be advertised on the website, and not its usual third Tuesday of the month. So just wanted council to be aware of that sort of different scheduling for the February Finance Committee meeting. Okay, moving on to agenda items. I do want to present to council the payment of bills for December. For the general fund, $234,376.49. For the recreation fund, $2,147.76. No dollars allocated for the liquid fuels fund. And for the capital fund, $147,886.20 for a total of $384,410.45. I will make that in the form of, I will make the payment of the bills for December in the form of a motion.
Second.
Motion has been made, it has been seconded. Is there any discussion on the motion? See no call for discussion. All those in favor of ratifying the payment of the borough's bills for this past month, December 2022, from the general, recreation, and capital funds in the amount specified by Councilperson Vice President Romaine, please say aye.
Yes.
Aye.
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 Those opposed, please say nay. The motion passes unanimously.
Next on my agenda is the reappointment of Jean Thomas to the Shade Tree Commission for a 5-year term expiring December 31st, 2027. That is resolution number 2023-06. I make that in the form of a motion.
And I will second that motion.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving Resolution 2023-06, which will reappoint Jean Thomas to the Shade Tree Commission for a 5-year term expiring December 31, 2027, please say aye.
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 Those opposed, please say nay. The motion passes unanimously.
Moving on, we spoke at workshop about a proposal from Dandelion Digital in the amount of $3,300 per month for digital communication services. Dandelion is the company that does all of our social media and digital communications for the borough. This is just an agreement to continue their services at a flat rate. So I'd like to make a motion to approve the proposal from Dandelion Digital in the amount of $3,300 per month for digital communication services.
Second.
Motion's been made. It has been seconded. Any discussion on the motion?
They've been doing a great job.
They have been doing a great job. They have been. And for those of you who are not yet receiving the borough's newsletter, please go to the borough website and sign up. It costs you nothing. And every month you'll get a newsletter and it'll tell you what's going on in the borough. So we have a motion that has been seconded, and I'll call the question. All those in favor of accepting the proposal from Dandelion Digital for digital communication services, please say aye.
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 Those opposed, please say nay. The motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, President Hall. And for my final agenda item, I guess this is in the form of a motion to approve the fiscal year 2022 audit letter from Barbicane. This is something that we have to do every year, so this is checking that box to make sure that we're compliant. So I make that in the form of a motion.
Second.
Motion has been made. It has been seconded. Is there any discussion concerning the motion? Hearing no call for discussion. All those in favor of, I guess we're engaging Barbicane for the fiscal year 2022 audit.
Correct.
Please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, please say nay. We heard you. We heard you, Liz. The motion passes unanimously.
Sorry, am I loud? Did I do something weird?
No.
No.
Okay, that was weird. All right, and that concludes my second report.
Thank you very much. Does any member of council have any questions for Vice President Romaine at this time? Hearing none, we'll move along then to the EAC, the Environmental Advisory Council, and Library. That's Councilmember Pakoff.
Yes, thank you, President Hall. It's good to be here in person, not on the phone, and not sounding like a frog. I had quite a few weeks there. I am very proud to share that in your folders is the Environmental Advisory Council Annual Report for 2022, as prepared by Chairman Walt Kressler. Just a few highlights. It's almost mind-boggling to me to see what was accomplished in the last year. Media became a bee city. We started preparations for a Day Without a Car challenge, working with Councilperson Washington. That's on the planning for the summer. We brought it up again. There was a proposal regarding gas-powered leaf blowers, and Mike Green purchased some non-gas-powered ones for the Media Borough. There was quite a discussion regarding the payment for the Sunoco check that came in. Community choice aggregation was brought up last week. And if you recall, in December, I said it was important that we had a full complement of membership on the EAC. So we added 2 members who I will be reappointing in a few moments. They were all present at the meeting, and I'll talk about that in just a second, but it's a very exciting possibility for the borough. We had a young man who's actually not a resident of the borough, but he came to our EAC to talk about light pollution, and that's going to look at potentially a re-examination of our lighting ordinances. We had students from Bryn Mawr College come in and talk about the amazing savings the borough has had over the years in some of their environmental programs. And of course, we had the plastic bag ordinance that was passed, single-use plastic bag and straw ordinance. With any new ordinance, there are going to be some hiccups. We've had a few situations where members of the of the workforce take it literally, that it's a ban on straws and bags and all of that. And we've made efforts with MBA to make sure to communicate that if there is someone that physically needs a straw or just requests one, that it should be provided. And those are the kinds of little things that just would need to be hammered out. EAC members have been handing out the reusable bags at all of the events, at the ice sculpture, at anything that was going on State Street. I did it myself when I was in between illnesses. So it's a really exciting time. And I just want to take a moment to say how proud I am of the 7 members of the EAC. It's an amazing group. Walt Kressler is excited about the possibilities going forward. I echo those sentiments. At last week's meeting, we had a presentation on community choice aggregation, and we'll be hearing more about that coming up in February or March, depending on Council's thoughts here. It's a program that is unique in Pennsylvania for boroughs. The pathway to it is unique for boroughs only at this point. And what it involves is the borough identifying an electricity supplier that we can purchase electricity from for the entirety of the borough, driving the cost down, and we can ask for renewable energy, solar energy. We'll work with a consultant in that. They had a tremendous presentation. The EAC membership was very excited, unanimously approved bringing it to council. So I'm just mentioning it now. I don't have anything on the agenda, but it is something to keep in the back of your head. And there is a representative that I could invite to a workshop if council is interested. So I just want to get a general sense if this would be something that you all would be interested in hearing about. I know Councilman Robinson had... Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, great. I'm all for saving money, too. So those are my announcements regarding EAC. A library meeting will be next week. I'll have more on that coming up in February. I have 4 resolutions. They are all 3 reappointments and 1 appointment. A resolution reappointing Ron Joines to the Environmental Advisory Council for a 3-year term expiring December 31st, 2025. Resolution 2023-07. I make that in the form of a motion.
Second.
Motion's been made. It has been seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor of approving Resolution 2023-07, which will reappoint Ron Joines to the EAC for a 3-year term, please say aye.
Yes.
Aye.
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 Those opposed, please say nay. The motion passes unanimously.
My next resolution is 2023-08, a reappointment of Dana Marks to the Environmental Advisory Council for a 3-year term expiring on December 31st, 2025.
Second.
Motion been made, it has been seconded. Is there any discussion concerning the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor of adopting Resolution 2023-08, which will reappoint Dana Marks to our Environmental Advisory Council for a 3-year term, please say aye.
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 My next resolution... Oh, sorry, Liz.
The motion passes. Those opposed, please say nay. The motion passes unanimously.
Of everyone here, I should be the one to wait for someone to talk. Resolution 2023-09 is the reappointment of Ian Pirro to the Environmental Advisory Council for a 3-year term expiring December 31st, 2025. I make that a form of motion.
Motion been made, it has been seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor of adopting Resolution 2023-09, which will reappoint Ian Pirro to our EAC for a 3-year term, please say aye.
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 And finally,
Those opposed, please say nay. The motion passes unanimously.
Oh, my goodness. And finally, I actually have an appointment. EAC has the opportunity to appoint associate members, and David Director had looked at being a member of EAC, but found that his work with the county's Sustainability Committee coincided with EAC meetings every once in a while. So he's a tremendous addition to the EAC, even as an associate member, and I'm very happy to make the resolution 2023-10, the appointment of David Director as an associate member of the Environmental Advisory Council for a 3-year term expiring December 31st, 2025.
Second.
Motion been made, it has been seconded. Is there any discussion concerning the motion?
Just for clarity, I'm assuming associate member means a non-voting member.
Correct. Yes, it is a non-voting member.
And also for clarification, we not only have the opportunity, but we also have the authority under law to do this.
Correct. Yes.
All right, then I'll call the question. All those in favor of adopting Resolution 2023-10, which will appoint David Director as an associate member of our EAC for a 3-year term, please say aye.
Yes.
Aye.
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 Those opposed, please say nay. The motion passes unanimously.
And thank you. That concludes my report for today.
Any member of council have any questions or comments for Councilperson Pakoff? Welcome back, Mark. Before public comment and privilege of the floor, the second of our two this evening, may I comment about the lovely green and white garb and pin that you are wearing, Ms. Rapino?
We mentioned tonight about, a number of times, about our website, and I just wanted to make the announcement that our new website will launch on January 31st. It's been an adventure.
She's done an amazing job.
Oh, thank you. But I have to give kudos to Linda Rooney, too. Without her, because she has worked with this company before, Civic Plus, who is the company that's developing the website. So she's been a very big help. But it's been a lot of work, but I think it's going to be really good. It's going to be very interactive for our residents. You'll be able to sign up for notifications. Notifications anytime we add an agenda, minutes, change an agenda, alerts, calendar updates, and any kind of news. So you'll be able to pick and choose what you want to be notified for so that you're not getting emails constantly every day. But so I think everyone will enjoy that option. And the calendar is easier to use, and it's just, I really think that everybody's going to like it. The pictures are real vibrant and a lot more of them than we could put on before, so I hope everybody enjoys it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. So that's been a long haul, but we're all looking forward to seeing that. Now, it's not March. You're wearing green.
I know.
And you got a little pin. There we go. Let's hope that there are a lot of smiles on faces come late Saturday night.
I hope so.
Do we have any emailed comments or questions?
I do, I have one. It's from Jean Wardley, West 3rd Street. I would like to add a note of appreciation for departing Councilmember Peter Williamson. In the meetings I have attended virtually and in person, I have admired his calm patience and willingness to foster the democratic process. I wish more people will realize how much effort and time council members and support personnel devote to serving the people of Media. Peter will be missed.
Hear, hear.
As we miss Jean, she used to serve faithfully at the polls for years and years and years. We miss her service as well. All right, anything else?
No,
Thank you. If there's anyone who's present, wishes to come to the microphone, tell us your name, where you live, what's on your mind. Please come to the microphone.
Hi, I'm Mary Ann Cherokee. I've been here quite a few times before. It's always been about parking. Own a business in Media.
Why don't you come up to the microphone so that everyone can hear you well?
This is my partner, Nikki.
Howdy.
Owner. Hello, Nikki Friel. We've been having a lot of trouble since January, since the parking rates went up and the extended period of time on the parking meters. So now weekends aren't free anymore. But people don't know that because they're not residents of Media. So you come in, you're getting a ticket, $25 ticket. A lot of the kiosks are not working. They don't give change, they won't take quarters. Our senior citizens that come into the salon are really having trouble. I lost a client, said, I can't come here anymore. Another client told me, if I'm going to be paying 25 cents for 10 minutes, the reason I didn't go to Westchester was because it was 25 cents for 10 minutes. If I'm paying the same, I'm going to go to Westchester. The restaurants are better. I think it's not a good time for this. A really bad, for us as business owners, our prices have doubled on supplies. Now we're risking losing clients. And, 3 years ago, when we lost our garage for the courthouse, that's when I was really coming up here. And I was continually told that I needed to go to talk to Delaware County, at the Delaware County meetings. But how I truthfully felt about it was, you guys representing we business owners, you guys, you men and women, should have gone to the Delaware County meetings to represent us as business owners. I'm one voice. I went up and down all of State Street 2 years ago. Took me a whole day, no big deal. Everybody was up in arms about the parking. How many people, business owners, came with me that night? One. Because everybody wants to complain, but nobody wants to do anything. But this is sincerely impacting us. And I just think it was bad timing on your part. I think you're doing a disservice to us as business owners. You started this meeting saying you're going to give raises to the policemen because of every costs have gone up, everybody's costs have gone up. Well, our costs have gone up, and now we're losing clients. I don't know.
And one other thing in regards to that.
Please.
It would have been nice to have noticed that this was going to happen because we had a pre-planned price increase that is starting February 1st. So now our clients have increased prices for their services, also increased parking and increased parking hours. So it's...
And lack of parking.
And lack of parking.
Because there's still no garage.
We're behind the townhouse.
For the,
So it's a big hit for our customers. And had we known that the parking was going to be increasing, maybe we would have done something different with our price increase so it wasn't all at the same time. Today we started keeping a list of customers who come in the door complaining about the parking. Our first 3 out of 5 came in the door. Really? 10 minutes? Really? My meter doesn't work. Mine wouldn't take quarters. Mine spit my quarters out.
mine wouldn't give me back change.
It's very hard owning a business and hearing your customers come in the door so disgruntled every day before you even start servicing them.
I don't know why they like their hair. They're very mad about the parking. One of my clients, very business owner in media, he said to me, "You need to move your business."
So I'm concerned to hear that there are some kiosks that are reported to you as not working properly. Would you? Would it would be?
Only accept quarters, don't accept quarters.
would you mind telling our manager, whether tonight or emailing her and letting her know which kiosks are not working properly?
We
So-
did call this morning to let, after the very first client, to let my receptionist call, so I wasn't sure who she called, but she did let them know, look, the machine won't accept the orders. If she gets a ticket, she's going to come up there and tell you about it. So is that what we should do? Who should we contact?
If you are aware, I mean, if someone comes in, we would appreciate it. We do have a staff person
Okay.
that does, when, besides emptying meters, he monitors the meters and the kiosks.
Okay.
So, I mean, I think he's a very good employee, so if there's it's either it happened after he had tested, I'm not saying he tests it every day, but, in that area, as Brian said, I mean, pick up the phone, we will have someone down there that day to at least take a look at it. If it can't be fixed, then yes, I think we would put notice on there that that kiosk is not working at that point.
Yeah.
With regards to the increase, it was communicated, through council to the business authority, who acts as our communications to the businesses within the borough. And I guess last, no one, I mean, it was not easy for us to raise the rates, however, we recognize that, as referenced, we are in line or even still somewhat below the majority of other municipalities that I would say is in our caliber, the Westchesters, the Phoenixvilles. I was just the other day in Kennett Square, Borough, significantly farther south. Theirs were the same as ours. So I don't think we went above. I think what actually has occurred is we were behind the times for several years and are just now becoming more of a level playing field to those other communities similar to the borough media in both Chester County, Delaware County, and Montgomery County.
And Paul, can I add to that?
Please.
Apologies, it was a little hard to hear the public comment, so I didn't hear the woman's name or what business she represents, but I did hear that something around where we're more expensive than towns that are around us. That is untrue. The parking rates for Westchester are currently $1.50 an hour, which is what we just raised our rates to, but they actually do collect for a couple of more hours a day more than we do. So our new enforcement, or our new ordinance collects parking from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Saturday, excuse me. Westchester is 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. For meters, Monday through Wednesday until midnight for permits. Thursday and Friday, it's 8 a.m. to midnight, and Saturday, it's 5 p.m. to midnight. So our ordinance actually does scale back quite a bit. So I get that it's easy to, I understand the stress that this may be putting on the business, but we still are actually a little under some of what I would consider our peer communities. But I do want to set the record straight on that. The other thing I did want to comment on is that we, in addition to the MBA communicating this change to businesses, this has been communicated by the borough to our residents through our newsletter, which Brian mentioned earlier tonight, through our social media and on our website. So this isn't something that's been sprung on, and there is a communication plan to continue to talk to our businesses, our residents, and our visitors about the parking increase now through the end of the year, as we know that January is a slow time, but we will be reminding folks so that they are aware and not caught by surprise when we do get more visitors later, in the spring and summer months.
Thank you, Liz.
It's just that it's tough enough to find a parking spot, ever since there's no longer the other parking. It's been hard for 2-3 years for our clients to find parking at busy times, but now the increase. So I could see if the other one was rebuilt and parking, there was tons of parking everywhere, but you're rushing around, you're late for your appointment, you get there and the kiosk isn't working right. Now you're like 10 minutes late for your appointment, and they come in frazzled. It's just how it is. I'm sorry to report it to you. I'm sure you don't want to hear it.
No, we do.
Yeah, we do. That's
we're going to be losing.
We absolutely
Yeah,
do.
and please let us know which kiosks are not working, and we'll have somebody out there right away to make sure that they're working properly.
Yeah, who is the person that we should contact about that?
Just call the Borough Hall.
Just call Borough Hall?
Yep, and they'll pass it on.
And if, like, you know, an older woman rushes in and she's upset to the police officer, could he, like, take the ticket away or something?
Well, if the, I mean,
Because these-
if the kiosk is not working, then absolutely, you take your ticket in and you talk to the parking manager, Debbie Bromley.
They're upset.
Yeah.
You know,
Can they use the app?
you're talking about
Yeah,
70-some-year-old.
I'm with you on that.
I'm
I mean, they have
67 years
phone, it's
old,
kind of-
and some of my
it's
peers
easy.
don't know how to use it.
The app's easier than the kiosk.
They don't know how to use it. And by the time they figure it out, then they go, oh, forget it, I'll just get a ticket, then now I'm going to get a ticket, Marion, because I couldn't figure out how to put the money in, and
Right.
so it's frustrating.
Absolutely.
Yep. Thank you
The
very
other
much.
thing I would just suggest in the spirit of trying to be helpful, because I certainly sympathize with that sometimes parking is tough to find, and with the jurors parking lot when it disbanded or whatever a couple of years ago that provided extra stresses, is that there are places in the borough to park that sometimes people don't know about, and they're only a block or two off the main streets. Again, I'm sorry, I didn't hear exactly what your business does or where it's located, but I wonder if this might be a good time for us to recirculate our borough's parking map, or at least like dust it off. When you look at it, you realize that there's maybe a little bit more parking than even I was, consciously aware of. There's some really nice parking spots that are just a block and a half from State Street, but maybe some visitors aren't aware that is an area that they can park in, or maybe it's a different way on a one-way street that they go or whatever. But I'd be happy to share that map with you if that's something that you would want to share with your customers, either on your social media or whatever, and maybe give some different options for them to park at. While we try to address a larger parking problem.
Well, unfortunately,
Thank you.
most of our clients aren't from media. They don't know media. We get clients from all over the place. They don't know. And we are right on Baker Street, right behind the townhouse, so we do have the parking lot, the two-story parking garage. But believe it or not, some people will not set foot in there because they're petrified of parking garages, because they think they're going to get jumped. I'm like, you're in media. I go in there at 9:30 at night, nothing is going to happen to you. But people are funny that way.
And if that's the case, then I would say you're
I mean, it could help if
correct.
it was better lit at night, maybe that would help people be less scared.
We have, in the last 3 to 4 years, redid all the lighting in there.
And it's
So
just kind of dim. It's kind of dim. I mean, it doesn't bother me. I said people who are scared.
Well, thank you very much for bringing this issue to our attention, and I'm sure that we'll be waiting for your call if there's any problems with any of the kiosks.
Yeah, right. We will call. Would you like that daily, or we?
Until it's fixed.
If your clientele sees it before anybody else is aware, we would ask any business to do that, because we can't fix something if we're not aware of it. And really, that's goes where we just talk about, we have to work together as a team in communication. So if you see it, it's the thing that drives me crazy, where somebody comes in and goes, well, this was broken. Did you call us? No. Call us up. We're here to serve you. If it's broken, we'll fix it, or we'll put a note on it saying, you've got free parking for the day.
And they don't want to feed the meter to go, don't dry my hair. I only have 5 more minutes on my meter. Really? They're so scared to get that.
I've got some ideas, I don't want to bring it up
$25
now, but Liz Remain is our liaison, but I'll touch base with her on that. Maybe we'll have to come up with some new ideas to help better serve the businesses.
Because we want them to finish with us and then walk around leave. But
Yep.
that's not going to happen.
Great, thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else wish to address council? Please come to the microphone, tell us who you are, where you live, what's on your mind.
Michael Strock, 499 West Jefferson Street, apartment 507. Actually, because of the parking discussion that just occurred, I wanted to just inquire if the borough had heard anything from the county council regarding the hit or parking deck, or lack thereof.
I think that we have heard some news. Brittany, you and I had a little conversation a little while ago, and I remember it half well as you remember it. So what is the latest that we have heard?
That they are committed to doing some type of surface parking lot there, and we actually just had a conversation with the solicitor and the zoning officer, so there's some sort of zoning interpretation that's happening right now, and I don't know, because I don't know how, what we're allowed to say about that, but they're...
Well, yeah, they're exploring some zoning issues that we are trying to help them through. And for purposes of the county constructing a surface parking lot with, do you recall the number of spaces?
88. But it was encouraging I think it was just last month to hear that they were still committed to doing this, and we're going to be working through that together.
Well, thank you. I think that at the very least would help alleviate some of the county employee parking issue that we've had in the borough. So thank you.
And Mr. Straw, I need to congratulate you, Penn State, Rose Bowl.
Absolutely. It's the final, I would say, traditional Rose Bowl in that it was a Big Ten versus Pac-12 game. Now, all future Rose Bowls until for at least the foreseeable future will be playoff games. So, yeah, it'll be awesome.
Go Penn State.
Thank you. We are.
Anybody else wish to address council at this time? Please come forward. No one else has raised their hand, so I understand that we will have an opportunity to say a few words or sing a few bars of happy birthday to someone who's on this side of the table. Do we have a motion to serenade and to adjourn?
So
So I would
All in favor,
like to,
please say aye.
wish our Honorable Mayor
Aye.
McMahon happy birthday.
Happy 21st birthday, Bob.
Don't forget that I just turned 60.
I was going to say you just turned 21. so-
Yeah, I know, I was going to say, no, wait.
Okay, I'll take that.
It's a rum cake, 21.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm a cake advocate.
So we're adjourned. Good night, folks. See you next week.